Just because a man can get a piece doesn't mean that a man can get peace from that piece. Hello, everybody. It's Dev, founder of the Iron Father, with a short video that I'm going to do today from a question that I got from a client. And as we were working out through some things, he asked the question, can a guy be a beta even though he had a dad in his house growing up? And my answer is emphatically yes. Most of us, and I'm going to say you because I'm moving out of that zone, are betas actually because of our father, not despite our father, or not because our father was in the home and he kept us from that. You see, you learn how to deal with women from your dad. That was probably if your dad was in the house. And now let me separate this actually into two. I'm going to talk about fathers who are in the home, or men who have fathers in the home, and men who never had fathers in the home. So specifically for this question, there are some of you that had fathers in the home like I did. And let's level set and say that beta, alpha, gamma, sigma, whatever you want to use, these are all just really bucket terms. They're really garbage terms. They don't mean much of anything. These are just categories that we try to place human behavior to make sense out of it. So using what people say, using these terms that are popular on YouTube or on the internet or whatever, using those terms of an alpha being more of an aggressive male, or a male, especially in terms of the red pill community, a male that really runs his life, his relationships, etc., his life his own way, compared to the beta, which, the beta goes ahead and does what women want him to do. He's very gynocentric in his behavior. He yields to women, is not in control of really probably any relationship in his life, so on and so forth. We got strong on the alpha side, weak on the beta side, whatever categories people want to put this stuff in. I'm past that. I'm not into that anymore. But again, to use these terms that people use, the alpha and the beta, can you be a man that had a dad in your home and be a beta? Yes. Why? Because you have to remember that you probably learned how to interact with women by watching your father. Now, again, to use these terms, if you had a father who was considered more alpha, now I have to actually go, and I love the work of Caleb Jones or Sovereign CEO, or Alpha 2.0 guy. Caleb Jones stuff, shout out to him because I got this from him. He describes you have an Alpha 1.0 and an Alpha 2.0. Now, his whole thing is being an Alpha 2.0, and that is a guy who lives with outcome independence. And that's not an original term. I mean, we've talked about that, or people have talked about that for a time. Dr. Robert Glover, no more Mr. Nice Guy, talks about the need for outcome independence. So that is actually very, very wanted and needed. But it's also a man that has freedom, etc. Overall, I like to consider myself using those terms. I'm a guy that's pursuing an Alpha 2.0 lifestyle. I have no interest in being an Alpha 1.0 guy. So most of the people that you think of, let's say your Tates, or the guys that you think that you watch women go to, whether it was, they were the captain they played on the sports team, whether we're talking high school, college, most of the guys that you see that are great with women that you may be working with, etc., most of those men will fall into the Alpha 1.0 category. Because I have a saying, and I'm going to clean this up for YouTube. We'll just be nice and say, just because a man can get a piece, Piece, and y'all know what I'm talking about. As Coach Greg Adams says, a piece of peace leave. Just because a man can get a piece doesn't mean that a man can get peace from that piece. Peace. And many of your Alpha 1.0 guys, they can't get peace from a piece. They only know how to get a piece. And most of you guys out there want to have a father. If you had a father, he might have taught you how to get a piece, but he probably never taught you how to have a piece give him peace, because he probably never had that peace with his own wife, aka your mother. Because old Mildred probably ran the house. Don't get it wrong. Let's not think everything is like The Color Purple, and that, you had where it's these impressions of men just lording over women. We're not going to talk about the minority. And these cases always get built off the minority. We're talking about the average home. In the average home, we go back to generations. For you religious guys, you can even go back into your religious text. Let's think of Abraham and Sarah. Who ran that house? I'll wait while you go look it up in Genesis. Because while Abraham received the promise and then told Sarah, when Sarah had two ideas, number one, let me give you Hagar and let's make her a side piece for you. Because maybe it's actually meant for you to have a baby with her. Maybe that's what God was talking about. And then when Sarah got mad and was like, I cannot stand that woman, get her out of here because her son makes sport of our son. Numerous times this man listened to his wife. And so even in the religious community, you've had women actually kind of running things and actually changing the lives of many of these so-called alpha men. And if in the case of Abraham, we know he was a big alpha because didn't he go ahead and let's say do some thug life stuff when he had to get Lot back? Now, I'm not being blasphemous, but my point is that obviously Abraham was a G. Abraham knew how to fight. I assume Abraham knew how to yield a sword. But yet, as much of a tough guy as he was, an alpha guy that left his own land, left his relatives to go on out and start a new life, he was that alpha. But yet, when it came time to listening to his wife on some things, don't get me wrong, Sarah did call him her Lord, lowercase l. That's another lesson for you religious guys on the type of dominance and respect you should be getting from your woman. But that's another show. But you don't even know how to get that kind of respect because your father wasn't getting it at home. Because your dad, in front of your eyes, was a man who did things for your mom or for women. Whether you saw him do things for your mother where he said, I would do such and such, but your mom won't let me. I would go do blah, 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 but your mom won't let me. Your mom said da, 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 and I just go with her to get along, happy wife, happy life. And you see this. And there was a skit that I heard or read about or whatever, watched on IG recently. And it was something to the effect that if you notice your father it was actually a comedian. And he was talking about in the joke about how when your father was younger, he probably talked a whole lot when he was first married to your mom. And as he stayed married to your mom, your dad just sat back and just. And as the saying goes, there are a lot of men that are sitting on the porch in that rocking chair looking to be put out of their misery like an old dog that's just hoping the years go past. And now he's no longer a good watchdog anymore. Something comes up, he kind of raises his ears and just be like, and that's how your dad probably was. Where he's probably one that he gave up with things with your mom a long time ago. Your mom ran that place and you saw that. Also, even if your mom did not always, your mom probably taught you, as Dr. Glover always mentions, that hit home to me. What mothers teach young men in the household, especially when daddy is even there, is even more so when dad's not there. We're getting to that in a second. Moms teach, don't be like your father. Look how sad your dad makes me. You don't want to do that to me, do you? You don't want girls to feel sad like your mom does. And what guy would want that? So it's like, no, mom, I don't want to make a girl feel bad. And so you learn to now tailor your behavior in a way that may even be a bit more masculine because maybe your dad had a reason for not making your mom always feel good. Because let me tell you, if you're a dominant man in your relationship and your woman always feeling good, then you're not really being a dominant man. Just like you can't be an effective parent if all you are your kids' friends and you never, ever do anything to make them upset. So if that's the kind of life you plan to live, because that's what mom taught you, good luck with that. And you're going to realize, yes, you too are a beta, and your dad helped contribute to making you one. Lastly, on that note, your dad may have also contributed to making you a beta because you always have to remember, again, your dad wasn't going to get a piece because he was just looking for peace. And he wouldn't get a piece if he upset your mom. Because your mom probably realized really early on in the game, especially if your dad was religious, that, well, oh Mildred, what am I going to do? I, Mildred gonna lock down and tighten up those legs like a figure four leg lock. And what am I gonna do? I'm stuck and I can't go anywhere. So now Mildred has the power, and your dad is like, yeah, son, I do have to just go along because actually, I want to go ahead and get some, and let's go into, we think that Reddit and dead bedrooms, like that's a new phenomenon. What do you think has been going on for generations? It's been going on for generations. People have been in dead bedrooms, and we're not talking about, it's funny. You can't have the stereotype of the dirty old man, but then at the other side have the stereotype where a man is 60, 70, 80 years old and he doesn't want a woman anymore. Nah. I mean, while those cases exist within people, the fact of the matter is that pretty much no matter what age a guy is, he may not want it from old Mildred anymore. But you better believe when that hot 25-year-old come knocking at the door, he's like, "Arr?" He's looking in. All of a sudden, the dog raises up. "Arr, arr, 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 arr." And that is exactly how your old man probably is at 70 or 80. Did you probably have some girlfriends that you brought over to the house? Can we tell the truth and shame the devil here for a second? Did you have some girlfriends that you brought over to the house and you watched your dad go? And as that girl came over wearing stuff that your mama hadn't worn since 1955, did your girl come over wearing that stuff that your mama hadn't worn since 1975 when she was 100 pounds lighter? Did your ex-girlfriend or just some chick you were dating that you wanted to introduce to the family? Did your girlfriend come on over there wearing something that your mom was like, you better don't be having that girl come on over here wearing. You tell that girl to put on some clothes. Mama wasn't just saying that because, oh gosh, this is so morally reprehensible. Mama was doing that because she saw your daddy eyes go, and Mama was like, John Henry, John Henry, don't you be looking at that woman. So you observed that and you saw that behavior and you saw dad switch. Like black folks say code switching. You saw dad switch. And I could keep going on and on. You probably saw dad maybe even doing a little tricking. You probably saw dad get caught out here cheating and he was like, I'm so sorry, looking like Jimmy Swaggart. And when he got caught, I've sinned. And that's one thing to be saying, I'm sorry, I've sinned before the Lord, is another thing to be doing that before your mama, especially if he claims he was doing that because your mama wasn't meeting your daddy's needs. Because then daddy shouldn't be up there crying, crying, crying. Daddy should have been a G and either A, said, okay, it's probably time that we end this, or B, like, yep, you know what? Hey, Mildred, this is why I did it. I did it for this, 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 and this. And that's why I stepped out. That's not normally who man I want to be, but that's the man I am in this situation. So look, either we're going to get it right, and this is the woman that I want you to be from here on forth, and this is the man that I'm going to be, and this is the kind of relationship we're going to have. You're going to rock with this or not. If you want to leave, goodbye. If you want to stay, then let's build. Instead, daddy probably came home with and a box of chocolates and took mama out to that favorite restaurant that she had not ever been to since 1975 when she wore that little outfit your girlfriend had on. And so then dad comes home and he does that to make up with mom. And you watched it. And yes, sir, you have the same behavior. So, what about for those guys who do not have a dad or did not grow up with a dad in the house? Totally different dynamic. And I'm just going to briefly touch on that because I think we talk about those guys all the time. Those are the guys that they did not learn how to interact with a woman. So they really only know beta ways. They only know. They only watch guys come to their mama's house. Depending on their age, they know when, or doo doo, mama be like, all right, I got company coming over. Kids running around because a lot of these mothers don't be making their kids go to bed. And the kids running around, running around. They're like, oh, mama like, go upstairs, get to bed. Y'all get to bed. I want to hear from you the rest of the night. Y'all gonna get to bed. And then old Sam come on in. And, either depending on the age that you were when this happened, either it's some Johnny Guitar Watson playing or some Bobby Womack, or really, let's say probably some Al Green or some Marvin Gaye or some Brian McKnight playing, or some Alexander O'Neill Or I don't know what y'all new folks listen to. I don't know. I don't know what a new R&B. I don't know, some neo or something. Anyway, you knew when that came on and you heard that music downstairs, you knew what was up. And you might have even seen a guy come in and even try to cater up to your mom. And then here he is, just like the guy whose dad got caught cheating. He comes home with some flowers to make it right and start dating your mother all over again. Now this guy is showing up because he's so much of a weak dude. He brings your mother flowers, not knowing that she had also got flowers sitting on the desk from the other guy that came over the day before. So you've seen this simp behavior just going on all your life by men, by men. And what do you think? What do you know how to do? As soon as you get a little girlfriend, I'm going to take her both of these. So yes, we talk about those guys all the time because they know no other way. Here at I Am Father, we are about what? Recalibrating, restoring, and thriving. If that's the kind of man that you have only had as an example in front of you, then come over here. Let's teach you another way. Let's teach you another more effective way. Because again, what your dad did, he did it because that's all he knew, because he probably watched his dad do it. Because maybe at one time he was with a single mom. Maybe his dad died early. And mama finally actually talked about how she really wasn't happy with dad. And maybe you had to go ahead and take in dad's place. As Esther Villar points out, a lot of us guys don't even realize you have actually been groomed to take your father's place, whether it was by death or divorce, since you were 10 years old. Mama has been preparing her little man for the day that she now has to be the son husband. And so if that's you and you are now over 50 years old and you're asking the question, why didn't anybody ever teach me this stuff? Come here, subscribe. First, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I want you to follow for more. If you need some coaching, please send the email, will be in the description. Let me talk to you. Let me help you out of this. Let me give you some resources, some tips. I was there. I was a man who was there. I've watched, you don't know, it's funny because people think I may be jaded from my marriage. You want to know what made me more jaded than anything else? It was actually watching my parents' marriage. It wasn't my marriage. My marriage just solidified and made me regret, man, you should have known a lot of things from even watching your parents' marriage, but you didn't. So there are going to be some of you guys that are just coming to me that you left right out of mama and daddy's house and mama and daddy's marriage and mama and daddy's mess and mom and daddy's turmoil. And it was in that condition and in that environment, that was where you went. And you ended up marrying a young woman. But man, let me tell you something. It's not too late. This is why I say recalibrate. I want you to recalibrate. You need to pull back and you need to now do just like a navigation system. And now you figure out, I know my destination. And it starts with you knowing the man that you want to now be. And that's part of the recalibration phase. We come up with a destination of the man that you want to be. And now we recalculate the path. Because the man and the destination that you thought you had when you got married at 20, 25, 30 years old, fresh out of mom and daddy's house, or maybe just mama's house, that's not the man that you want to be now after you've gone through decades with maybe a marriage and now it's ended. I don't want anybody to ever think that Iron Father is all about pro-divorce, because I am not. Let me just clearly say that. I'm going to do a video on that. I am not about pro-divorce. Every man needs to get a divorce. No, I'm not. Idealistically, it's better for a dude to be married and for a woman to be married and for kids to have parents who are happily married. But you know what? I know this is the condition. I didn't expect to find myself in this condition. If you would have asked me at 45, is this where I was going to be? I would have been like, no, no. And then 45 all the way back. I would never thought I would have been here. But I know when I did realize I'm going to be here, there was nobody to help me. And I'm here to help you. Because what you've seen in your dad probably is not helping you right now. What your mama has taught you and all the great things about, like my mother said, of, well, son, if you want a girlfriend, just, be nice and be yourself. And then the other news she gave me was, well, you shouldn't date more than one girl at a time. So therefore I was on lockdown when I was even in the dating world because I couldn't date more than one girl at one time because what my mama said. But do y'all know what? Well, my mama told me that my father was at the house. So yes, and my father isn't really a beta dude, I'm gonna tell you that. But he's an alpha 1.0 guy. Hey, he'll fight in a heartbeat, do what he got to do. But I learned a lot on how to deal with women that I'm changing now because of what I observed. That's no shade on him. I'm just saying it like it is because I know this means a lot to a lot of you guys. You're in the same boat. You've seen some fathers that'd be willing to scrap. You might even have some fathers that's locked up behind bars. You might have some fathers that were in the military. They were about their life when they had to do what they had to do. You may have some fathers that were out in street gangs and they're about that life. They've done some things that, nobody talks about. Maybe he told you one time when y'all might have gone out somewhere. But when you watch him interact with your mama and you start reflecting on that, you realize who the real G in that house was in that relationship. And how is that working for you now? For you guys that didn't have a father, come on in. And I'm going to even say this to you young guys out there. You young guys out there may be looking for kind of, I don't want to say a father figure because I'm not saying I want to be that. But what I am saying is there may be some nuggets, some wisdom, some things you can get just because I'm reaching out to men who have been some things and have found themselves at this point in their life doesn't mean that I'm not looking out for you. And I'm going to start doing special videos just for you young guys because you need this. I wish someone would have told me. And if there's one thing, recalibrate, restore, and thrive. As I try to transition into this thriving phase of my life, I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to be the voice that I wish someone would have been to me when I was 15, 25, 35, 45, and now I got a chance to give back at 55. All right, man. Until next time, fellas. I'm an iron father, but I'm still learning. And I want to help teach you. Like, subscribe if any of this resonated. And even if it's not maybe for you right now, if you know a man that may be able to benefit from this, or maybe even your son, please share and pass it on. If you want coaching, go to the link, the Calendly link down in the description. I'll be more than happy to work with you. It's not too late to change because if you got breath in your body this morning, you can go out there and get at it. Sometimes it's not just about building up the old body game because that is important. You got to build up your mind game because when you lift weights and you're in your 20s and maybe even teens, you do it to build some big guns. But you realize when you get older, working out is part of what you do as your overall self-improvement. The first level of self-improvement has to be here. If that's what you're interested in, you let me know down below. You fellas have a good one. It's Dev at Iron Father. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got more videos coming. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.